Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the last session of today, the first day of GEO Symposium. And the topic today is Earth Intelligence for Impact, but with urban frame in mind. So I'll just introduce briefly the idea of the session, the genesis of it, where it came from, and then I'll pass over to our moderator and chair, Thomas Kemper from the JRC. So Thomas and I both sit on a working group. It's probably the most recently established of the GEO working groups, designed to reflect the commitment to, well, the engagement priority, I should say, on resilient cities and human settlements. We're about 18 months, 2 years in, and as a working group, the idea of that was to try and better connect the Earth observation community, producing data, information and tools with an urban context in mind, connect that community with a community of policymakers, decision makers, practitioners working in cities. This was somewhat different to some of the engagement that GEO's had over its last 2 decades, in that we're directly trying to engage with city and urban local governments and organizations that represent them. So city networks, urban policy organizations like the UN Habitat, and really have a structured conversation in that working group about the needs of those urban decision makers and policymakers, and what the Earth observation community can do to service some of those needs. Today, we're going to hear from 4 or 5 examples of urban Earth intelligence in action, or for impact, and then have a short panel discussion amongst all of you. And we're in this very unintimidating round room with no stage. So hopefully it will encourage free flow of conversation. I won't say much more. I'll pass over to Thomas, and also welcome to anyone joining online through the Zoom feed.
Yeah, thank you, Martin. Maybe move right away to the next slide. Again, I introduce quickly myself. I'm Thomas Kemper, working for the European Commission Joint Research Center in northern Italy. So I had a nice train ride here to Geneva. I'm leading there the Global Human Settlement Layer project that is also trying to provide global information about buildings and settlements. I'm also part of the Copernicus Emergency Management Service that tries to provide this data then also in an operational context. And in GEO, Martin mentioned already the Resilient Cities and Human Settlement Working Group, but there's also another initiative, the UN Planet Initiative, that is co-led by us here at the JRC. So as Martin mentioned, during this session, we want to really see a bit how we can connect the user side with the producer side to see really how well we are doing with connecting those two sides. Or are we really still at a stage where we are thinking we have a great product and don't understand why the cities don't use it? So this is a bit really the framing, and that's also where you go to the next slide, please. Where we set up this session in 2 parts. So the first one will be the use case presentations. We will have 4 use cases, and then following a panel discussion. If you go to the next slide again, and one more. We also try to provide the presenters with a bit of a frame that helps us then in the panel discussion to see a bit where we want to go. So they should look into the decision context that we want to address. Is this on heat islands? Is this on urban regeneration, or whatever else you may think of? And then what can Earth observation contribute there? What did work, and also try to identify gaps that can help us then to improve also the work that we are doing in the GEO work program. And what we also try to do is really have here 2 voices coming in, so that we have part of the presentations co-shared with 2 speakers, one from the user side, if you wish, and another one from the Earth observation side. This did not always work, but at least we have then people that can still relate to both sides of it. And I think with that, we can move to the next slide already. So I would like to present to you the distinguished speakers of the first part of the session, the presentation of the 4 use cases. We have a use case from the city of Ioannina, where I have the pleasure to have Eleni Atanasopoulou from the National Observatory of Athens in Greece, and she's a research scientist at the National Observatory of Athens and a member of the Atmospheric Physics and Chemistry group. Her expertise lies in the numerical atmospheric modeling with a focus on chemical interactions involving particulate matter. And then we have next to her Evangelos Brakos from the municipality of Ioannina in Greece. So a user, but he's also still a researcher. He's a geomatics engineer and a PhD candidate at the University of Ioannina, where his research focuses then on the dynamics of urban transformations. So really on spot on the topic here. Then I have the pleasure to introduce Professor Wu, who is sitting next to me from the Tongji University, Wupen in China. And he's an expert in urban and rural planning and a reputed educator in engineering innovation. You're a pioneer in urban and rural planning, theory and engineering practice, and elected member of the Chinese Academy of Engineering since 2017. Then to my right, we have Martin Clark, that most of you know already, part of the GEO Secretariat, but he has also a long experience in working as an urban development specialist in many places all around the world. Then we have Richard Fu from Helios CubeSat on the other side of this panel. He's the Chief Executive Officer at Helios, a London-based project launching a CubeSat, and he will tell us a bit also about this project in one part of the sessions. And then last not least, we have Nef Davotsi, who is on my right-hand side from the National Observatory of Athens. She's a biologist and landscape ecologist who specializes in urban biodiversity and climate resilience. She uses satellite data and Earth observation tools to map human pressures on cities. And she's, what she will talk about today, also a member of the Urban Heritage Climate Observatory that tries to look into the situation of the urban heritage. And with that, I think we can start with our first use case presentation from Greece. And I have to invite all presenters to stick within those 10 minutes so that we have some room for discussion afterwards. Thank you.
Just to say, sorry, Eleni, before you start, Florian will be trying to keep time. So if you see him waving some sheets around, no. But we have the gavel if you do run over. So.
So yes, good afternoon by myself. I was introduced already. I am Eleni. And the first... okay. Now it's okay, I think. The first slide here refers to the GeoNICE, which is a new GEO activity. It is a convener that it is co-chaired by the National Observatory of Athens and Min Paris. And this convener wants to bring together scientists and activities that not working only on climate or on energy or in the urban context, but activities that intersect in all these areas. Among the scopes of this convener, which is, as I said, relatively new, is the integration of initiatives that are from those 3 areas, the development of value-added products relevant to support urban policies, energy transitions, and climate adaptation and mitigation action, but also collaboration between stakeholders, including a cross-sectoral collaboration. So having with us city administration, but also the private sector. So the reason I say so is because GeoNICE invests on projects that can foster discussion and prioritization of solutions that enable cities to become more climate resilient and energy efficient. And one of these projects is Metronome, whose title is Design, Monitoring and Evaluation City Transformative Intelligence. And it is a project that commenced last year, and the Climate Kick awarded us with this fund that comes from the Net Zero City Action. So as you see here, the three of the aims of GeoNICE are transformed and are supported within Metronome. So what we try to do is to create scenarios that mitigate greenhouse gas emissions in the energy and mobility sector, mainly through electrification of buildings and the road transport, to propose green infrastructure, and also to examine the co-benefits of these actions for the air quality of a city. The cities that we work with are two mission cities. One of those is Ioannina. And at this point, I will invite Evangelos to say a few things about this city.
Hello to everyone. My name is Evangelos Brachos. I am a geomatics engineer. I work in the municipality of Ioannina. And I want to introduce you our city. As you can see in the photo, the city of Ioannina is located on the northwest part of Greece and is built in the west part of the Lake Pambotida. It's a city, the population of the city is around 65,000 on the traditional urban center and 100 on the wider city. Eleni?
So as Thomas said earlier, we had to answer to four, let's say, key questions. The first being the needs of the municipality and their action plans. So again, Evangelos is the best person to discuss.
Okay, thank you. Ioannina's climate city contract is a strategic commitment to make the city entire climate neutral by 2030. As a part of EU mission to 100 climate neutral and smart cities. The core pillars of the climate of the CCC include the sustainable urban mobility, climate neutral zone, energy transition. At the same time, particular emphasis placed on the sustainable urban mobility through the development of cycling networks and the promotion of friendly modes transportation. Finally, we are responsible for organizing, planning, and executing climate neutrality initiatives.
So then the question that we wanted to answer is what data turns the decision context into evidence. So here you see a big list of the data that we are using in the frame of this project for the area of Ioannina. That are coming from Copernicus services, or not only Earth observation data, but also data from the National Statistical Services, from the cadastre, that have to do, of course, with parameters of the building sector, the road sector, and as well relevant to the green area and atmospheric data. What we did through this data is to produce, in the end, high-resolution geospatial mapping of several parameters that are relevant to these sectors that we are working on, that are shown all the time in the orange box that you see on top. And we are building currently an online decision support system, which will be publicly available to all and can support basically the municipal authorities to compare the scenarios for greenhouse gas mitigation. Next. No. Next, the question is where Earth observation makes the difference. The metronome is a running project, so we cannot respond to what made the difference after the project, but at the moment, what we know and we are experiencing is that Earth observation supports and enriches existing data. You see here several of the calculations that we are performing based on GEO and the rest of the data pool I've showed you before. For example, we calculate the building energy performance and consumption per building block due to the GDPR restrictions, the greenhouse gas emissions, photovoltaic energy potential, and as I said before, the air quality eco-benefits that I say this going to the next, which is to compare the intervention options. As I said, we run different scenarios so we can inspect the greenhouse gas emission savings through electrification of buildings with or without the PV penetration, the air quality co-benefit, as I said before. And of course, GEO data have been used, let's say, to educate, contribute to knowledge, yes, as I said, and to support the stakeholder and community engagement. Do you have anything to add with respect to your ambition from the project?
Yeah, thank you. The ambition of this platform is, as a municipality, to use it as a decision operation to the level of intervention, and as an example for an action or for electrification to see the impact on the city.
Last but not least, it could be that gaps remain before decision can be fully supported. But again, of course, Evangelos can say more about this.
One thing that that is not in this program is the real-time data. The real-time data which could allow us to monitor in real time, and when we make a decision and an action in to see the result of okay of these actions. Thank you.
I think that was all. So here we have consolidated in one slide the answers with respect to the decision concept, the GEO input, what worked and what's missing. I guess I don't have time to repeat.
No, but I think probably these slides will be made also available after the meeting, so that's where everybody can then get also a nice summary of what is happening in the city of Ioannina. So thank you very much, and thank you also for staying in time. So let's move to another part of the world and more specifically to China. And I hand over to Professor Wu to explain us about his Earth observation applications in China.
Okay, it's a great honor for me to come back to China. That's 10 years ago when we stopped to make the Beijing Supercenter. That's actually a lot of things is for me also new to learn because I come from South China, from Shanghai, and I go to the Beijing. So it's very really it's learn a lot because before we start the international competition, I say to my team, please really to investigation of the people, what's the people needs. And this is the center, as we see, only 20 kilometers from the Chinese Tiananmen Square in the east side. But if you go there, you will suddenly very surprised. There's so much water, so much river. It's normally we think from North China, we don't think it's have so much water like in Shanghai, near Shanghai from that time. And then we found it's also on the other side is through a very bigger dam because of the autobahn. That's the speed street make a bigger dam to make the both sides suddenly cut down. And then we really start to investigation of not only the natural situation, was the river was closed, also the people. I make the 500 people interview before we launched the project. And through that, it's unbelievable, it's a bigger surprise for me. 52 people concerned about the floods. That's in North China. It's not in South China. So it's a really very big lecture for me. And why? That's really, I say, that's every people really always say climate change. In Beijing, in North China, then you can really find the dramatic change because the water from the line of the 8 millimeter as our calculation every year goes so fast in this new century from south to north. So that's the biggest climate change in China. So we use a lot of data. So from there, I looking for the data from the first historic record in Beijing in 1882. That's the first date of the water. So I calculate, my team calculate exactly not only the history to today, also every year what will happen and what's in the different parts in Beijing. And as you can see, the water from it's really rising, very bigger disaster can be in this area. Why? That's the reason so much people, more than half people, concerned about the bigger floods. So we make very exactly the strategy from the upstream. We should be really the storage the water because this water is certainly only 3 days, biggest 1 week, but it's the really every drop water for the North China is the whole year very, very full for their urban maintenance. And in the middle stream, we make the diversion because the water would like keep the water really keep in the very secure the dam. And for the downstreams, we make the drainage and to go to the ocean. So we make this is the concept of the ecological conservation rings, make the water can be, this is actually, and that's the one side. We learn is the strategy, but the most important is how can you exactly make the water concept can be suitable for, adapted for this bigger climate change. So we make the 19 different concepts to division exactly for this simulation. And after simulation, we make the final decision. And to make the peak time, the water will be reserved in the another buy side. So that's now it's 10 years already. We make very proud that the both sides we keep the water always every year only 1 meter. But before we make this the engineering, this should be every year from the low side to the high side is 7 meters difference. So, okay, thank you. So we make this finished, and you can see in the 2024, 1st June, in the another side, the upstream is already so big fruits, but in our downstream is still for the people secure. So I'm very proud in these last 10 years we do it. Otherwise, we should certainly will learn a lot from the world, different cities, and we say this is really through the data you can learn a lot from the world. So finally, I will show you that's today after 10 years. Can you play the video? Only 30 seconds. You can see today the situation. This is the sub-center in Beijing and the east side of Beijing. So much water, so bigger people, much more happy today because we control the water, different size. So it's very make people really very happy. I just come from these sides last 2 years ago, and yesterday come from this side, come back. I think I'm very happy that use the data and also accept. Thank you very much. That's my presentation.
Well, I think we still have time for the video, no?
Yeah. That's second 30 seconds video.
大运河这几年的变化美了起来，整个两岸都新了起来。两三头到河边转，就少了点什么，哪怕不带相机，也要去看一看，到河边坐一坐。
日与夜的流转是你。
It was the totally dirty water, only very small, but now it's make keep the level of the water.
的融合是你。 你的今天已经令人们惊叹，你的明天必将更加璀璨夺目。
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you again for also staying very much in time. Very good. So this will open up maybe opportunities for more discussion later on. Now we move to something that if you were here in the morning, you heard already a little bit about it in the opening session. We will talk about the Global Heat Resilience Service and how this is being implemented under GEO, and there's nobody else better than Martin to do that together with our colleague Richard. I hand over to you.
Thanks, Thomas. I mean, it is very hot outside and we've heard a lot about heat already today. So what I want to try and do today, and as Thomas said at the start, we have the idea that we present two sides of the story, the supply and the demand. So I'm going to have my kind of decision-maker hat on rather, and then I'll pass to Richard, who will explain a bit more about solutioning. Yeah, as you probably heard this morning, so GHRS is now nearly 2 years old, and what began as this idea that we should look at what the Earth observation community could do to provide urban decision makers with climate risk information, particularly around extreme heat, in a very targeted way, has become a kind of collection of experiments, action research, looking at lots of very many different use cases. I think I said this morning, and Thomas, you can give me the exact figure, but something like 15,000 human settlements on the planet, about 50,000 people, each with a very unique set of economic, governance, climatic, environmental contexts which shape how decisions are made. Heat is a particularly fragmented effort, really. There's very rarely a single decision maker in a city that is responsible for understanding heat. It's often the efforts of lots of different people in different departments. And so one thing we've been looking at through the Heat Resilience Service is a series of case studies or use cases that actually articulate in more detail the specific context that an individual might find themselves making a decision across a whole range of decision sort of time spaces. And that's everything from emergency response, preparedness, strategic planning, policy reform, and behavioral change. It's been designed for impact from the start. This session is supposed to be about impact. And although we're a pilot, which means we've got lots of experiments running, much like Lenny said, like some of the fruits of our labor have yet to kind of reach this top level impact yet, but we have a direction of travel. We know where we want to go, and we know this isn't just about developing technical products because we can. It's about having listened to partners in cities through networks like the C40 cities, the Global Covenant of Mayors, Resilient Cities Network, and ICLEI. We've been able to try and articulate what we want to change in the long term and trace that back to these discrete kind of technical outputs that the project could make. It's by no means been just the GEO Secretariat. We've been the convener in some senses, but a lot of the logos that you see on this slide have all played and continue to play a role. And in fact, this is probably not doing the sort of partner map justice. We've got people who are providing strategic inputs like the WMO and GCOS. We also have implementing partners, technology companies. You heard about some of those this morning. And this is kind of a dynamic map in a way in that we are constantly coming across other initiatives from partners that are speaking to some of the use cases that we're trying to investigate. We've been kind of actively designing and testing tools with our cities. So this is just one example from C40 and IBM and the Global Covenant of Mayors, where we've got to the point of developing decision support tools that have been shaped by the cities that try and speak to the data and information needs that they told us they have. And now begins a process of testing these tools with them to ensure that what they're seeing, what they're getting, and the data that they can work with and interrogate is indeed what they need and is useful in a decision-making or planning context. The whole exercise really has been about learning as we're doing. And as I think I said this morning, we didn't claim to know everything from the outset, but we are certainly learning as we go along. One of the conversations that we had, I think it was possibly 3 or 4 months ago now with C40 cities, was an introduction to the Helios team who are sitting in the room with us today. And their story really kind of spoke to me, really spoke to the ambition, the ethos of the Global Heat Resilience Service. This was a team of young people designing and building a CubeSat to monitor heat and other things in urban settings. So I'll pass over to Richard to tell you a little bit about their project and how that fits in with the whole GHRS story. Richard.
Yeah, thanks, Martin, for the generous introduction, and also thank you for Martin and Thomas for hosting this session, and also thanks for everybody else who's here today. It is an honour to be speaking to you. As you may have looked at the news recently, I mean, we're a London-based team, and the UK has just experienced, I think, its hottest May day on record since the recording started, I think, in the 19th century or the 20th century. So extreme heat and the problem we face nowadays really speaks to the scale. Well, this really speaks to the scale of the challenge we face in terms of extreme heat and how it's impacting people's lives. And as Martin also mentioned, as Helios team, we do not claim to know all the answers. We definitely do not. And in some senses, I would say we're quite naive. We have to learn more, and that's what we're here today for. But what I'm aiming to do today is just to share what we've learned so far and what we've sort of developed to develop proposed solutions and products that we can roll out and potentially tackle this gap. So as you can see from the slide there, what's missing in Earth observation and Earth intelligence we've identified. There is a bit of a divide, and through conversations I've had today as well, there was a bit of a divide between different places, different cities, and what kinds of data they have. For one, we've talked to the Greater London Authority. They have quite a complete data set of extreme heat, and they're pretty well informed about it. But some other cities may not, and that is one problem that we're aiming to tackle. The other problem is the type of data. There are a lot of different data sets out there. It's pretty fragmented, but also a lot of the data sets are really strong. Some of the data, from the conversation we've had and we've not had, we've realised that sometimes the data isn't really geared towards solutions and monitoring how the solutions are going to have an impact. And also, resolution data. Sorry, that slide is a bit wrong. That says it says data that's often high resolution. It's some data, and especially a lot of the more easily accessible data on the market is pretty low resolution, and doesn't really take into consideration sort of bottom up local concerns. So concerns from individual boroughs and individual districts themselves even within the city, because different boroughs, adjacent boroughs, have very different needs, both socioeconomic and also the things that they might be going through in terms of extreme heat. So those three are the problems that we're trying to tackle for this mission. So these are the solutions we've developed so far. Open access to problem data, so maps like land surface temperature maps, vegetation and water cover maps, and soil moisture maps that we collect. These 20 cities are for our first mission. It is a trial, a proof of concept to show that we can do this. And if this works, we're going to carry on with a larger scope with more cities and a wider geographic spread. As you can see here, we've already tried to put a balanced geographic spread across the world, but there are clear gaps, and we aim to address that in the future after we've proved that this proof of concept works. Also, solution-based data. So in addition to the problem data, we aim to have sort of data analyses, identifying areas where intervention is needed, specific areas, specific districts, and tracking progress of different solutions that are implemented, such as shading spaces and corridors. So different cities, we've talked to London, as I mentioned, they currently are working on a heat risk plan. Some of the solutions are getting rolled out in the next few years or so, between 2027 and 2028. That overlaps with the Helios launch window, and therefore we're in a position to help a lot of cities that might be implementing these solutions like that. It can be small solutions like shading spaces and stuff, but that really does make an impact, and we want to sort of monitor it and see if it is the expected on the expected scale and scope that city authorities and city planners intend. Sorry. These are our layers. I'm not going to delve too much into it right now because of time constraints, but if you want to have a look at it, you can. So, successes and shortcomings. I'm just going to try to whip through this slide as quick as possible. So, successes is that we believe this is a sustainable financial model, and there's high resolution, high impact data that does fit end user requirements, and also keeps life-saving data free, because that is, I think, in my opinion, the most important, and in our opinion, in fact, the most important thing, the important principle when it comes to urban heat. And existing interest in partnerships already. And because, obviously, with all the different things that we've sort of found, there have also been some shortcomings. Things like we haven't talked to enough people, we believe, especially target cities officials, space agencies. We haven't got a fuller picture of local issues. We haven't talked to individual boroughs. I think we should definitely delve more into those individual stories of people and how their livelihoods are getting impacted by heat risk. And also, due to the need to meet that 2027 launch window, the sort of assets-based monitoring, so the financial impact stuff, might not be as open access as the life-saving model. We're currently looking into how we can sort of weigh it, and it's a bit of a challenge for us as well. And we are very open to talking to different people about this and how they are tackling these issues and how we can potentially adopt their models as well. But yeah, these are the challenges we face, because in order to keep on track for the 2027 launch, and also in order to keep scaling this mission sustainably and saving more lives, in fact, that is the trade-off that we've identified. And that could change, but we'll have to see through the conversations in the coming days. So that's our summary. And as mentioned, we are still learning. This is basically a learning exercise. So feel free to talk to me anytime later today or tomorrow. I am very happy to have a chat about what your experiences with heat risk and urban heat are, because we would love to learn more and develop a better kind of model of how we run things if these things are not satisfying the end users. Yeah, thank you so much. That is.
Thank you, Richard, and also Martin for highlighting this topic that especially these days we notice quite a lot, urban heat and how our observation can contribute it. Let's move now to the last case that looks at a slightly different angle of it, but nevertheless very important. We're talking about urban heritage, so looking a bit at what the past left to us, but which is, I think, quite important for us. And I'm handing over to Nefta.
Thank you. I hope you're not too tired for a last short presentation. Okay, I will talk you about the UCO, the Urban Heritage Climate Observatory, which is a GEO convener. It was launched on the beginning of 2021 as a collaboration between the UNESCO World Heritage Center, the GEO, and the Greek GEO office, aiming at identifying and observing the impacts of climate change on the World Heritage cities at a global scale by engaging Earth observation tools and services. Here on the right, you see UCO's ecosystem under the GEO work program. It's a convener, and it embraces multiple frames as the Paris Agreement, the Sustainable Development Goals, the new urban agenda, and the SEDAI framework. So one major achievement of UCO was the publication, collaboratively, of course, with UNESCO, of a white paper entitled Climate Change in Mediterranean World Heritage Cities. This policy document assists the state parties, local authorities, and site managers, as well as UNESCO and advisory bodies, in enabling climate action, and actually outlines a pathway to leverage synergies between the World Heritage Convention, the UNFCCC, and other multilateral agreements. This publication is actually based in the study of 114 historic cities and settlements only in the Mediterranean region, reflecting actually its diversity as far as the climate conditions are concerned, but also the threats. With this white paper, we try actually to harness the powerful symbolism of cultural heritage as a means to accelerate climate action and to integrate the protection of cultural monuments into the broader framework of climate policy planning. The Earth observation input lies in the climate model projections of the threats that were identified during the qualitative reporting of observed climate change events and hazards before mapping and analyzing the various geographical patterns. We deployed a set of climate variables and indices tailored to cultural heritage protection commonly used based on literature review. Then two emission scenarios were used for the near and far future periods, and the statistical analysis was conducted to explore the spatial differentiation of the projected climate parameters as well as their temporal trends. According to the outcomes of the white paper, Earth observation can effectively inform climate adaptation and decision making by the future projections that I told you before, that actually show that more than half of the World Heritage Cities will face at least 2 climate threats. EU techniques also are very important for systematic detection, for investigating environmental actions, and of course, continuous EU monitoring helps assess environmental conditions, detect potential changes, and enhance preparedness. The report states that EU-derived information serves to bridge the gap between climate change and cultural heritage communities, providing a collaborative, multidisciplinary framework for strategies. But what did we understand that is actually missing? A critical gap remains between regional climate data and local actionable heritage conservation. EU-based analysis actually has not been conducted for all the 114 cities, and is something that needs to be done. And the report is policy relevant, but not operationally actionable for site managers. So what is needed? Of course, technical training for site managers on EU tools, funding for high-resolution data acquisition, and a centralized real-time platform, such as the Copernicus World Heritage Hub. And in this is something that UCO could really contribute in. Let me go now and actually link with what I just said. What are UCO's next steps? It's to build a community of practice around the heritage, climate, and cities, to bridge climate science and heritage conservation by showcasing EU good practices of World Heritage Cities or other cultural sites, support data poor regions, align with UNESCO indicators that are dedicated to cultural heritage, and UCO can directly inform the future development of online platforms like I am mentioning Copernicus World Heritage Hub because it's the most recent one, a really promising one. And UCO members could actually propose success stories to be to serve as inputs in these real-time platforms. And also these platforms provide a perfect model for UCO's research to operation strategy. Okay, here I have the summary. I won't go into detail because I think that all these things are going to be highlighted during our panel discussion. Just to mention that in the one hand, you can find more information about UCO. And on the other, the right side, you can find the UNESCO white paper that I just was talking about. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think our presenters need another applause because we are really fully in time. So thank you for achieving that. Because this is now where I think it can become a bit more interesting also for everybody to come in and join the next part of the session. We will go a bit beyond 5:15 as announced because we started late, and then we can see also a bit on your mood if you want to how much you want to contribute to the session. So I think to quickly summarize what we heard, we had those 4 examples. We had 2 very concrete city examples, one from Beijing and one from Ioannina, where really concrete applications were demonstrated, and then 2 more a bit general cases, the Global Heat Resilience Service that really tries to address the heat stress at the global level. So with, of course, pilots coming up, but then always thinking about delivering something global. And on the cultural heritage, it was also really from the GEO's perspective of developing something, maybe now focusing a bit more on Europe, based on also the experience Greece is making here, but with the aim of getting more global. So with that, I think we can move into the panel discussion, where we first have selected some of the presenters from the first session to address some specific topics. You see them here on the slide, but then we would also open up to the floor for additional questions. But before we do that, I wanted also to come back to you and the audience, because we were talking about users, producers. So maybe you can raise your hand if you are either more from the user side, so city level, or institutional user, UN body, whatever, that is in need of data, and then on the other hand, the data producer. So who's coming from the user side here, from municipalities, from other institutions, apart from Evangelos? And I think we see already one of the big problems that we are facing here also in GEO. We try to overcome this, but let's say maybe it's also late, but late in the day. But I think it's really still one of the problems we are facing, that we are talking along between us as geospatial Earth observation community as a whole. That doesn't mean that we don't know what we are doing, but I think it really highlights a bit one of the points. So I assume that everybody else would more or less now raise the hand for being a producer, so we can also skip that point. So let me then come to Evangelos, who's sort of the perfect user, because he's working in a city. He's a geomatics expert, working on a PhD, so also has a research background. So he's the one that really can probably translate from his day-to-day work also with the city what is needed. So Evangelos, from your perspective, what does useful Earth observation actually look like in terms of format, scale, and timing? And what would it be really making it actionable in Ioannina? What is your experience also so far in the Metronome project and others? What is working there?
In terms of format, with the Metronome, we'll have an online GIS platform, and this is very useful for us, because we will not receive only raw data, because we don't have the people, we don't have the expertise to do it, because we have to manage the multidimensional governance and offices. And with an online GIS platform, we will have to operate on a specific action, and on a specific problem, on a specific area, and then we will see the result of this action. It's very important to us, because in the past year we didn't have the opportunity to have the online GIS platform to combine data, to visualize, to make us to operate on a specific area, and to make our city better, to have the benefits of our action. And the time is now. And the time is now because if we want to be on the 2030 on the climate neutral cities, the time is now, and I think we have to run for this.
Okay, good. And maybe to follow up then, how do you really achieve this? So to actually get from a data product that to a decision on the ground, how is this working at the city of Ioannina? This last mile discussion of having something that then still needs to be understood and also implemented at the policy level. So somebody has to then agree, yes, we want to go this way, and we do it like you told us. How is this working? You, Anina, can you tell something already?
Yeah, I think in every municipality in Greece, in every authority in Greece, we have several people to working on it and to make a decision. In some cases, the problem is when a program like this or something that we can a program that manages the city. In some cases, when the funding ends, the programs it not continue, and there is no mechanism to sustain and operationalize its result. And I think it's very important to see the funding and the problem to continue this program on our authority.
So sustainability is really an issue where now you have a mandate to work on it for 2-3 years, but then if no follow-up funding is coming, then activities are shut down.
In some cases, this is the reality in some cases.
Okay. Thank you. Maybe let's move to Beijing and the experience of Professor Wu, who implemented this flood protection project like already some years ago. So maybe you can also elaborate a bit on what determined whether Earth observation really could make a contribution, so that decision makers took a decision based on Earth observation there, and also where maybe things did not work because maybe this Earth observation people were too skeptical or it was too complex.
Yes, it's really the question. It's a good question for everywhere everywhere in the world. It's always you state. You say that's important. That's important for the exact for something. But people not listen to you. But in China, you see, that's the culture of Confucius. That means the professor is the biggest people. So if you don't listen to me, I send my new student to go to their position. The student always come back to professors and always listen for the professors. So I send so many my students go to different cities, also go to the Beijing. That's a joke, but it's really very important. Not like the professors just in the university. Professor should be send your student all my life to go to the different position together. Maybe one day the former president students already can be working together for the improvement during the gate, because the new generation comes always use much more, believe that data is important to make the precise decision. So it's I'm very happy that actually it's not everywhere can be so big a project based on the simulation, 19 simulation, exactly. But because my student there, so he is the mayor. So I'm very, very happy. I don't think everywhere you can convince every mayor, but it's really because the students make the with the formal student is always important for professors.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. So that means that the students are coming that then became city manager, mayor. They come to you and ask for advice on how to solve.
Very important. Very important. This is Chinese tradition. We say one day my teacher, lifelong my father. So it's always come back. So that's very important to really support their career, but it's also working together for the better city, better life. It's very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Good. Let's move then to Greece again for the cultural heritage and to GEO also, because the work you presented is GEO convener. And we have seen there also today there's a lot of tools that are around, so cities are not short of those, and there's also technical people in there. But still, maybe there's still something missing. And then now the question is, what can GEO do there, and where is GEO's distinctive value? What can it offer that the current proliferation of platforms and dashboards cannot? So maybe you can look.
Yes, I will try
a bit in this direction.
Yes, I will try. I think that the main problem, as you said, is not about that we don't have enough tools, but actually to find the right connections. And apart from having some vertical solutions, either we're talking about the urban environment in general, or if we're talking about the World Heritage Cities or cultural elements into the urban environment. The thing is that we have many vertical solutions that address only one or two issues, one or two threats. I mean, we have nature-based solutions about urban cooling or about flood mitigation, but they're just addressing this issue. We have traffic and pollution monitoring. We have disaster risk management. The point is and the GEO can actually contribute in this, to actually find horizontal solutions that can address multiple threats. And in the case of cultural heritage, actually to provide urban and cultural resilience. For this to happen, of course, we need co-design, we need the funders, we need the data providers, we need the implementers, we need the heritage site managers, all to come together, to talk together, understand the gaps, the needs, and what needs to be done in order to, because I think the main issue and our main goal is to have urban and cultural resilience, as we understood from this session also.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good. Let's maybe open up a bit more then also to the audience. So we learned already there's not so many additional users, unfortunately, in the room that could help us also to identify what are those gaps. But maybe we can turn it around also still from all your experience where you are working. You are probably also, everybody's in touch with users to then have product with them. So maybe you have also some ideas of good examples where things worked, or maybe also where you can illustrate why certain things did not work at all. So that would be very interesting. And I see already Jean-Philippe from the EEA there who is working also in this context. So I would start with him while you can start thinking a bit about additional problems. Eleftherios is then the next one to come in.
Yes, thank you. So, I mean, the EEA, our goal is to build enabling conditions for local climate resilience decision-making by combining, again, knowledge, tool, and reporting. And I think things we've tried to do is actually, because we receive data from all the countries, the importance is to be able to provide data that's comparable across different cities so that, people look at it and want to participate to add more. One of the dimensions we've been working on as well is, I mean, a lot of data we provide is qualitative, and I think in many cases we want quantitative data, something that can be measured and acted upon. And one thing to realize is that it's not always a matter of providing data set, because in some cases the cities themselves have better data set than what you have. So it's a matter of providing something that they can use to really make a better decision. And I think that's pretty much it. But I guess we want to provide data that's actionable at the local level and providing a level of resolution that's sufficient. So in some cases, what's are missing in some a lot of our data set is they're too vague. We're like at nuts level. And if you can provide data like we have climate data at kilometer resolution, then that's a lot more useful. But I guess the idea is to be able to provide something that can be used, locally. And I guess one of the problems is very often we don't have enough engagement at the local level. It tends to be a top-down solution. And looks, we have provided a dashboard. So we have a lot of dashboards, but in some cases we lack sufficient feedback from the end user to actually be able to retailor those solutions. So, I mean, I guess we don't have that much, but one question would be, how do we embed this capacity to get more interaction with, I guess, local cities on the ground?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, there's really this big gap that we have from all the way from the global, national, then to the very local assessment where needs are quite different. But especially if we think about climate adaptation, this is really dealt with at the very local level. So there really, I think we still have quite a long way to go to really stretch from the coarser data that we have all the way to the ground. So maybe hand over to Eleftherios, and for those that don't know you, maybe you tell us about you.
Yes, sure. Thank you. And actually, I will be addressing one point that Jean-Philippe mentioned. So, Eleftherios Mamais, I'm the CEO at Evenflow. So, I'm speaking in that capacity now, not as executive officer at CS. And I want to introduce a few aspects that hopefully will contribute to this discussion. One, about the engagement with users. So, Evenflow, we are running a project for ESA called the Stakeholder Engagement Facility. It's literally dedicated precisely to this subject. So there we have sort of flipped the story. We're not pushing certain solutions to them. We're actually going to their own events. So we're not expecting them to come to an equivalent, let's say, of what we have here. But we are sending our people to their own events, big events, small events, tete-a-tete interactions, and so on. And we're not selling a specific solution. So it's not a single company solution. It's not a single project solution. We actually have the mandate there to represent, in principle, a very large portfolio of things that ESA has funded, but even beyond that. And what we have seen is that with some, let's say, further commitment to pursue that for a long time, this actually works. Because once you are seen in these communities, once you become part of these communities, you become a legitimate interlocutor, you start discussing, and there comes the second key point. We are starting from what they need, not from what EO offers. They come in, they describe their whole operational workflow, the whole operational context, and then we can hopefully advise them on what first could meet partially or fully what they want, and in which way. So there's the training part. The second thing I want to introduce as well for the benefit of this discussion is the value of actually assessing the benefit of EO solutions in support of cities or regional authorities and so on. Because it's one thing to go and say that a certain thing can work and address an operational need. It's another thing to actually put next to it economic benefits or policy-related benefits in how they can comply with certain regulations and so on. So this we're doing under the Sentinel Benefits Observatory. This follows of the Sentinel Benefit Study. So in both cases, we have seen that listening to the users, going to their activities, and also being able to present to them not only technical information, but also how this actually supports what they're doing in ways they understand, works.
Thank you, Eleftherios. I think you addressed quite important points. The Copernicus program is also picking up a little bit on this, also trying to establish then some national collaboration programs where it's really about awareness rising at different levels also, where that includes then also training. On one of the slides, I think there was also a request for more training capacity needed. And you mentioned that several of the cities are lacking data for cultural heritage. I think if you would approach the Copernicus risk and resilience mapping service together with Greece government, there might be also ways to get there. But such knowledge is often not known, especially not at the city level. So I think there we have still a long way to go. Do we have other examples? Yes.
That working? Okay, great. Yeah, I just wanted to come in a little bit on the back because we have a session tomorrow morning on impact assessments, where there will be a small discussion around urban heat maps, which has been one of the topics that we've been looking at. There'll be a report published shortly, and on the back of that, one of the key benefits that and part of the project was the health authority. And I think health was only, unless I got it wrong, is only featured on one slide, which was Martin's first slide. And I'm a little bit surprised that health hasn't come more strongly up the agenda.
Thank you.
I'll jump in with an example that does pull health into it. I'm Pat Cummins with Esri. We've done work on doing heat intervention calculations, creating indices and things. But I just encourage you all to take a look at what the state of California, kind of between the city level and the global level, the state of California has taken a different approach to their extreme heat. And it's been about a year and a half that they released their, what they call the Cal Heat Score. And what they're doing is they wanted to be a little more proactive about this. So they release the Cal Heat Score every day. So it's updated daily and it's predicting what the impact, what the experience will be for anybody in California that day. And they've also, I don't want to say dumbed it down, they've simplified it, kind of like we do with hurricanes. It's a category this or category that. So they score the heat day by 0 to 4. So they have 5 categories of the score. And it's really looking at the impact on humans, not just what the temperature is going to be. And they also take a look at it like 110 in the desert is different and impacts people differently than 110 or even 100 at the beach would be. So they take the local context, they factor all that in, they look at the predictions for the day, and then they have the Cal Heat Score for the day by zip code is the way that they've simplified it to make it kind of executive proof and citizen friendly, and different agencies across the state can look at it. Health, labor employees can look at it if they need to expect that construction workers, outdoor food workers are going to be more vulnerable on a score 3 day, they might take different action. So it's a different way of looking at combining data and making it available to the public, and definitely brings in the health side of it and not just straight temperature or wet ball or something.
Thank you. I think, Geoff, what you presented this impact work that you're doing is very important. We will see also then more examples than what we heard. Is there anybody else who wants to come in? Evangelos.
Sorry. I want to add something. We need to understand the authorities and the local community better on every program. The most programs start with the de facto packages, and they didn't listen the authorities. I think in every program we need to update through the conversation with the locals, with update in the monthly or daily or weekly or monthly basis to achieve the final goals of the programs. I think and with the metronome, we have several meetings on a monthly basis to discuss the opportunities, and the data I think the best is to communicate and to on a daily on a monthly basis to understand better the locals.
Okay. Thank you. So this co-design seems to be something important. We heard that also earlier. So maybe I'll hand over now to
Thanks, Thomas. I mean, there's part of me that's trying not to laugh because there's a sense of irony when you polled the room to see if we have any users here, and then something Left said reminded me one of the reasons why that is, and that was that last week was the World Urban Forum in Baku in Azerbaijan, and we were doing exactly what you suggested, which we were taking our story, if you like, to a forum organized for urban policymakers, urban decision makers, and we had a session. We had a session there. I think GEO Human Planet also had a presence there to do just that, not to go out trying to sell solutions, but to at least be in the room with people and have the conversation. So timing was slightly on our side in that a lot of the people I would have loved to have here, we had people from UN Habitat, the city networks, had all just come back from Baku. So it was kind of an own goal there. That said, I think you're right. Like if you're not having the decision maker or the policy maker in the room with you when you're even ideating some of these things, it becomes a slightly thankless or uphill battle to thankless task or uphill battle to arrive on the same page. I know from experience in the Global Heat Resilience Service, we have a really strong partnership with C40 cities and the Global Covenant of Mayors, but that took 18 months to really crystallize, where there was a lot of getting to know one another and, not necessarily leaping to solutions, but talking a little bit about what GEO was all about. I was quite familiar with the city network, but they were certainly not familiar with GEO, its activities, or the language that some of us use. So it took 12, 18 months till we got to a point where we were signing a partnership agreement. And from there, we started to think about what we could actually do together. One thing. Yeah, I mean, I think user-centered design, co-design is a term we use a lot. And it's quite easy to say, not so easy to do. Again, from experience, I think we've found that investing a little bit, doesn't take a lot of money, small amount of money to put on a workshop, or as you say, attend an event. That investment is worth it because you do get in the right room with the right people, and that's where you can start to explain a little bit more about the world that you come from. I suppose that where that's all leading to is we have some mechanisms within GEO, within the work program, and managed from the Secretariat, which speak a little bit to initiatives like ESA's Stakeholder Engagement Facility, perhaps not as mature, but the Resilient Cities Working Group, as I said, is all about trying to get people in the room. And actually, we're still finding our feet in terms of understanding what we could be doing together, the EO community and the urban policymaker practitioner community. So if anything, that's the kind of invitation for anyone in the room to join the working group. We have about 25 active members, broadly split between EO community and others. We have a work plan that we're sort of developing, and that is really where we're trying to find some very concrete things that we could collaborate on, noting that it's largely a voluntary effort. But I guess some of the things or opportunities that we're coming, and I'm glad, Jeff, you're in the room to talk about the kind of impact piece, impact analysis toolkit. We have an innovation fund that is nascent, but will hopefully soon be funded so that we can start to jointly identify new urban Earth observation activities. And certainly by the end of the year, at least in one of my KPIs is to identify a new urban EO initiative for our evergreen work program. So the work program is accepting applications all year round, essentially. So perhaps through the working group, we can come together with some of our colleagues from city networks, UN Habitat, other agencies, and identify something that's needed, not something that we think we can sell, but something that actually lands in a decision-making space. Righto, we are 12 minutes over, but thanks for joining us today, and thanks for the conversation. Thomas, thanks a lot for guiding us through moderating, and thanks to all the speakers who've come from near and far, and I suspect you all need a refreshment and maybe a relax before another full day tomorrow. So thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.